A lovely Thursday evening, everybody. January. Oops, no, not January. I probably wished it was January. June 20th, June 27th. I'm sorry, it's the Biden stuff getting to me. June 27th, 2024. I got the America shirt on tonight. America, America. It's got McFiles, fight like it's 1776. Where's my 1776 thing? Let me bring this down here. That's what you're seeing behind me there. That we're on air. And I'm going to put that right there. Because we are on the air for 1776. It's good to see everybody on a Thursday night. We've got another hour to go, hour 15-minute show. We're going to be here late tonight. We got some guests that are coming on the phone. Chris Alman is in about 15 minutes. I'm going to get him on the phone, and we're going to talk about what we've heard so far. The debate's going to go another 45 minutes. I've got some thoughts about it. I'll just sort of wait till Chris gets on. I've already seen a few comments in the chat tonight. But I've got somebody says Trump is doing great as he thinks before he speaks. Well, at least he's thinking. It ain't what the other guy's doing. You know, I just, folks, I was not a big fan of this debate from the start. I know I probably should be watching it more. I've already watched enough to realize that the only thing I can say tonight, that the three issues that I knew they would do the biggest, I'll have to give CNN a little, the Crap News Network, a smidgen of credit. They at least are talking about some of the issues, but they're bringing up J6. I'm sure that before this night's out, the felony stuff is going to be brought out. I heard Joe Biden say twice. One time, that's nothing but a bunch of malarkey, and the other time, that's a bunch of foolishness. And whenever it seems that Biden is weakening, they'll get the camera off of him, put it on Trump's facial expressions, and then when Biden is, we've got some pictures. I did some screenshots of Biden, and it's sort of hilarious. Some of the facial expressions. I'm just going to bring a few into the screen here, and that's been his stare for 4 years. I mean, that's like Trump is speaking. Are Putin's terms for ending Russia's war against Ukraine acceptable to Trump? And you see, that's what CNN. And I knew this was a hostile environment. I knew he was going into the devil's den. It ain't going to be much better with ABC. The All But Crap Network and the constant, the Crap News Network are about the same. I mean, they are. But I don't see, my friend Leslie Millway sent me a message a while ago. She said, I don't see how Biden's going to survive 90 minutes of this. I don't either, but, you know, I don't know what they got him jacked up on tonight. But abortion came up, and Biden lied. And that's what politicians do. I knew Biden was going to do this, and CNN didn't check him on that. He said abortion is going to be fully illegal under Trump. Children in cages, about the border, that the inhumane treatment of Republicans trying to put children in cages. Folks, these are left-wing lies that have been debunked for years. There are no children in the cages down along that border. AOC and that squad. By the way, Mr. Bowman, they're hiring at Arby's. And if Arby's don't work out for you, McDonald's, Orkin, the rat extermination would be just right up your alley, brother. He went down in defeat badly last night. And Chris is shedding crocodile tears over it. Not. It's a good start. It's a good start. And the other squad members are about to get their candy blank kicked here in a special election coming up too. That's a little shout out to you New York folks. Finally, y'all got some freaking sense in your head to get rid of these people. But anyway, let me get back. I digress. Cages, border cages, kids in cages, stuff like that. I knew it was going to be like this. I can't watch this stuff. I'd have probably been a little. They'd have probably had to put me on something because I'd have probably been coming on this with. And that's why I figured I better get Chris Alman on the phone to talk me off the ledge. And Lori Mills is coming up at 10:40 tonight, right after the debate's over. So we got some guests, and we may get a few other surprises. We may call some of you up just out of the blue and say, what you think about this? But anyway, I expected it to be that. Jake franchise Biden, don't know where he is right now. Jake, I don't doubt that, brother, but they're trying to make sure people think he is. We've got about 59 people in the house right now, and I'm sure we'll get more as the night goes on. If you got a question or comment about the debate, I know some of you are still watching it, and that's fine. Good to see all of you in the house tonight. And I do want to do a story. I want to show you a couple of news headlines that we've got tonight while we're waiting on Chris here in about 10 minutes. I want to read this story to you. I mentioned, I'm going to save that one for last, about the Never Trumper. It's an interesting little turn of events there, but I'll say this. This is out of Breitbart tonight. Trump entered this debate tonight with an 18-point net favorable advantage over Joe Biden. Now, that's Gallup. And Gallup tends to be a little bit more left-wing than right, but even in the Gallup poll, shows former President Donald Trump with an 18-point net favorable rating advantage over his fraudulently Joe Biden. The last 24 hours have been deliciously and gloriously brutal for Biden supporters, especially those in the corporate media. Two left-wing pollsters show Trump pulling away nationally. The Nate Silver comes along with a forecast of doom for Hunter's dad. Then another left-wing pollster shows Americans believe that Trump will do more to defend democracy than President Sundowning. Both Biden and Trump are viewed unfavorably by a majority of Americans, but Trump's favorability shows improvement, while Biden says worsened, says Gallup. Trump's favorable rating is at 46%. That's increased by 4 percentage points since the prior reading in December of 2020 of April. At the same time, Biden's favorable rating is now 37%, his lowest since 2007 when he was unknown to many Americans. And Trump enjoys an 8-point advantage over the question of favorability, but it's the net numbers that are even more striking. And it says because of his unfavorable rating is 52 compared to 46, Trump's net favorable rating is -6. And because Biden has an unfavorable rating of 61 compared to 37, his net rating is -24. That gives Trump a net 18-point favorability advantage over Biden. I want to say something about that, folks, because I tend to believe that these polls are always strategic on both sides. Don't listen to polls. I don't care if Trump had a 118 net favorable advantage rating. We're talking about June 27th. We don't vote on June 27th. We vote on November, I think, the 5th. Remember the 5th of November. If you've ever seen that movie V, that's the famous line from that. We don't vote in June. We vote in November. And 5 months right now is an eternity, and anything can go on. And I know that everybody's giddy tonight on the right. I would caution you, folks. I don't care how bad Biden may seem to you in this debate. I don't care what you may think. What we're seeing, there's always something behind the scenes that we don't see. And I can guarantee you, Jake Tapper makes me want to regurgitate, to be frank with you. His first question out of the gate, or one of them, I had to turn it off when he started talking about J6, and I got my opinion about this, and it ain't good. And if I was on Rumble only tonight, I'd probably share it. We're on YouTube and Facebook and our X audience. But anyway, I find it very intriguing that he called President Trump, former President Trump. Whoopi Goldberg came out today, like I really give 2-bit pins in the wind what Whoopi Goldberg thinks, and she says it's disrespectful to call Trump president and not the current and not say former president. Well, they did it to Obama. I don't never hear the left calling Obama former president. They always address him as President Obama, President Clinton, President Carter. I don't hear anybody on the left addressing their left-wing loon bombs as former. So I think we on the right have a right to call him President Trump, because he is President Trump to me. And these questions, folks, have been loaded from the beginning. And I can't. I stomached some of it. I stomached as much as I could. I had to watch some of it to be able to come on here and talk about it tonight. But when Jake started getting on that J6 stuff, I said, I've had enough. That's it. The only thing I would say about Trump, he did not answer the question like I wished he would have about this Palestinian state. That was actually a good question. And I think the candidates need to come down on their position. And he said, I'd have to look at it. And if I would have been asked that question, I'd have said, hell no. And that's why Chris is the host of the McFiles, and Chris ain't running for president, because Chris would be the media would probably chew me up and spit me out. But I tell you what, I would take a few down with me. Because Chris would let it all hang out. I put James R. up there beside me. I said, all right, this is our 10 minutes of fame. Let's have at it. Bring it on. And we'd have a good old fashioned cowboy showdown with the media. But no, I wish they'd asked me that question. I'd be more than happy to give them a history lesson in the Middle East. Palestinians already have a state. It's called Jordan. And because they're a bunch of terrorists and thugs, Jordan kicked their blanks out in the 1970s and 60s because Abdullah's daddy, the current prime minister's daddy, said, I've had enough of these terrorists, and sent them to the West Bank, sent them into Israel and said, y'all take care of them. And that's where the Palestinians now find themselves trying to find for a homeland. They had a homeland. They didn't want it. And Joe Biden is lying about the Ukraine war, and he's acting like that the Ukraine is the Armageddon of wars, and if we don't stop Russia, Russia's going to take over the world. And folks, that's just warmonger talk. There's no way that Russia has the resources to do anything tonight. These warmongers in Washington, they want war so bad they can't see straight. They are salivating to get us into some kind of conflict. I heard this week that they're even drafting you women now. So all you ladies that voted for Biden because you don't like Trump's personality and your Trump tweets, well, your daughters are headed to the military. I hope you're proud of yourself, all you folks out there that thought Joe Biden was the solution and the granddaddy. He was going to calm the country down and soothe the country. That look right there, and I'm not making fun of him tonight, folks. This is very serious, but that look is how he has been for 4 years. He is lost. And I'm not talking about spiritual state. I'm just talking about period. And I don't know, again, if it was a true debate, the people sitting in those chairs would challenge him on this stuff. And they're not going to do that. No, they're challenging Trump. Everything Trump says, they're, having their 2 cents. And I knew it would be like that. But anyway. Cleo says, commentary. Says Biden has something you can tell by his eyes. Perhaps, Patty. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe so. Maybe so. And if I wanted to watch, I'd watch. I don't want to, Rebecca. Nothing personal. I don't want to. I really don't want to. So no, I don't want to. But thank you for the advice. Anyway, I want to read something to you because there's another article in the Blaze tonight I wanted to read before I get to Chris. There are debates in 2020 between Joe Biden and President Trump was contentious. Thursday promises to be no different. There's not really been so much contentious. It's just been a bunch of name calling. But CNN will likely play a significant role as well. And here are 3 notable moments in which CNN operatives apparently assisted certain Dem candidates. I don't know if y'all remember this. Candy Crowley basically saved Obama from himself in October the 16th of 2012. Then President Barack Obama joined current Republican Utah Senator Mitt the Blank Romney for their second of the 3 debates before the 2012 presidential election. CNN hosted the debate where Crowley served as a moderator. A month prior to the debate on the 11th anniversary of the September 11 attacks, Islamic terrorists stormed an American diplomatic compound and a nearby annex in Benghazi, Libya, and murdered 4 Americans, Ambassador Christopher Stevens, Foreign Officer Sean Smith, and 2 CIA contractors, Tyrone Woods and Glenn Daugherty. In the days and weeks that followed, Obama, then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and Susan Rice and others blamed the attack on a YouTube video that was supposedly created by an American that criticized Muslims. Quote, based on the best information we have to date, Rice said at the time on Face the Nation, the attack began spontaneously in Benghazi as a reaction to what had transpired some hours earlier in Cairo, where there was a violent protest outside our embassy sparked by this hateful video. Y'all remember that? But the video had nothing to do with what turned out to have been another coordinated terrorist attack on Americans. Well, during the debate, Crowley asked Obama about these events. He insisted that within 24 hours he called them an act of terror. Romney then jumped in and asked Obama whether he had understood him correctly. You said in the Rose Garden the day after the attack it was an act of terror. It was not a spontaneous demonstration. Is that what you're saying? I want to make sure we get that for the record. I'm no fan of Mitt Romney, but Romney was right in this. He says because it took the president 14 days before he called the attack in Benghazi an act of terror. Well, Crowley then stepped out of her role and openly sided with Obama, claiming he did. He did, in fact, call the Benghazi attacks an act of terror. And Obama then cheered his teammate and said, can you say that a little louder, Candy? And a few weeks later, Obama, of course, routed Romney and coasted to re-election 332 to 206. Donna Brazile. This was also a little interesting. This is 2016. This is Miss Brazile, a former CNN operative and a former CNN commentator. She's bounced back before Democrat work and newsroom punditry for decades, and she was a powerful figure in the 2016 landscape. She was a strategist then. Spent years in DNC, so when DNC Chair Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz abruptly resigned her DNC position in July of that year following the explosive news that Julian Assange's WikiLeaks that the DNC had rigged the Democrat primary for Hillary Clinton against Bernie Sanders. Y'all remember that one? I do. Brazile immediately stepped in as interim DNC chair, even as she continued, though, her contributor position at CNN. We call that a conflict of interest. We call that a conflict of interest. We call that a conflict of interest. Basically hosting CNN and being the head of the DNC. One question related to the fallout from the water crisis in Flint, Michigan. Another related to the death penalty went like this. Here's one that worries me about HRC, death penalty. 19 states. This was from her iPad. And you can see the thing is, she says, according to the National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty since 1973, 156 people have been on death row and later set free. And she gives figures. That year, Brazile also apparently promised in an email to a Clinton surrogate that she would send a few more questions along as well. What she was doing was sending the questions ahead of time as to what would be asked during the debate to Clinton. Brazile vehemently denied feeding the Clinton campaign any of these questions, even waxing indignant and claiming she was the victim of Christian persecution during a particularly heated exchange with then Fox News host Megyn Kelly, who I've warmed to, actually. Megan's talking some sense these days. Who pressed Brazile about the accusations despite her caterwauling. Brazile resigned from CNN just a few days later. I got a question for Miss Brazile. Let me come back over to this screen. If you resigned a few days later, why'd your sorry backside not resign a few days before when you shouldn't have been holding both positions as the head of the DNC and head of the media company that was doing the debate? I think my 5-year-old grandson would know that's a conflict of interest. If I explained to him what a conflict of interest is, and my grandson, I said, do you think this is a conflict of interest? I can see him right now with that beautiful Elias smile and saying, Papa, that Max has a conflict of interest. 5-year-olds can understand that, but CNN strategists cannot, and Dems can't. But anyway, I digress. Let me go back to the article. I'm a little wired up mood tonight, folks. I'm about to get Chris Alman on the phone. He'll calm me down. In October, a subsequent release of emails revealed that among the many things I did in my role as Democratic operative, vice chair prior to assuming the interim DC, was to share potential town hall topics with the Clinton campaign, she wrote in an article published by Time. My job was to make all Democratic candidates look good, and I worked closely with both campaigns to make that happen, but sending those emails was a mistake I will never forget. By the way, folks, she claimed that it was Christian persecution that was causing these people to believe that she was feeding Clinton the emails. It didn't do Hillary any good. It was a terrible way the media interfered. It's all CNN. And then this final one is the one and only Chris Wallace. He spent the past 2 years of his story journalist career about at CNN, joined the network in 22, and he had a short-lived show that was canceled. But in fall of 2020, he was still with Fox. And in late September, he moderated a debate between Trump and Biden. And Trump was bombastic, repeatedly attempting to put Biden on the defensive about his son Hunter's involvement with Burisma in Ukraine. Biden said that his son had done nothing wrong. By the way, I hadn't heard anything. Can anybody tell me if the Biden laptop has been brought up tonight? Probably not. The federal government even introduced Hunter Biden's infamous laptop from hell into evidence against him in the recent trial, noting that it had been authenticated as previously belonging to Hunter Biden. And unfairly maligned, and Wallace seemed to help shield Biden from his relentless attacks, is what he said. The mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million. What did he do to deserve it? It's not true. It's not true. None of that's true, Biden stammered. Well, as Trump continued hammering, Wallace repeatedly ordered Trump to back off, let him answer, and kept interjecting between the conversation. Another time or so, while he told Mr. Vice President, you get the final word. Well, it's hard to get any word with this clown. Well, and then when Wallace was confronted about it, he said, you, Trump, have been doing more interrupting than him. And Wallace continued to berate Trump, and he also asserted Trump interrupted Joe and me 145 times in 90 minutes, which that is absolutely crazy, but he situated himself with Biden in an opposition to Trump. The reason I'm saying these things, folks, tonight, these are the perils of dealing with that crap news network and the Fox News Network, any of them. Trump ain't never going to get a fair shot, and the Republicans have never gotten a fair shot. And I give President Trump some credit for going in the devil's den tonight, and I think he's holding his own. My personal opinion, and what I heard, he was holding his own. But they've hamstrung him, and but anyway. Carolyn Harvey says the debate is interesting so far. I'll agree that. I agree with that. It is interesting. Jake says, I'm so tired of these liberal networks bringing up abortion on these debates. People need to take responsibility for their actions when they have sex. It's a possibility of pregnancy. And so forth. Let me get Chris Alman on the phone tonight. We've got my good buddy, and he's going to be coming on. Let me see if I can get him on the phone right quick here. We had a good day with him, and let me call him and see if he's ready to talk to us tonight. I hope you're grateful that you're with us tonight on the McFiles. We're just getting started tonight. And let's see if this is him. Let's see. Called the wrong number there. Hang on just a second. In 1 second here. This is live TV. There we go. This should be better. Now we're talking. Here's my buddy, Chris Alman. Chris Alman and I.
My life on this side of the equation. Hey,
man.
Chris Alman, how are you? You're on live tonight. How are you, sir?
Whoa. I am sitting here watching the debate.
Watching the debate. Well, I'm glad. I won't keep you long. I know you got to hit the road tomorrow, but I had to call you, bring you in. I had to bring the big boys in tonight. And I've been needing somebody to get me off the ledge of this crap tonight. What's your take on this debate tonight? How do you think everything's going so far in your world?
Wow. It's just watching this, it's painful. I mean, I'm against the Democrats here. I want Trump to win, but I feel sorry for the old Biden camp tonight, man. I mean, it's like, he's a bumbling, I mean, it's terrible, and to say, I feel bad that they would even put him up there. He's incapable, and to believe that somebody would ever cast a vote in his favor is just mind-boggling to me.
What has been the most telling thing of the debate? I thought the abortion issue, them trying to corner Trump with abortion and Ukraine, and then the J6 stuff was, I just couldn't. I watched it up to that point, just glancing in, and I couldn't stomach it. I just couldn't stomach it after that. What's your take on the biggest thing that you've heard tonight out of Trump?
Well, I mean, there are just so many. Like you said, the abortion stuff he's trying to corner. The fact that Trump was able to get Roe v. Wade overturned, and that Biden is very vocal in the fact that he wants it reinstated is terrible. Talking about trying to take credit for a lot of things that he shouldn't be trying to take credit for. Talking about the economy was in shambles when he came into office and this sort of thing. It's really just a lot of lies.
Well, that's what I feel too, and that's what is just so frustrating to me is that they're not checking him. Like, he'll say something, and the moderators are not firing back and saying that's not true. And that's what you get in these debates. I just read an article where every time there's been a Republican debate, Monica Crowley did it to Romney in 2012. Donald Brazile fed Hillary the questions in 2016, and then Chris Wallace basically, put the weight on the scale to Biden in 2020. And you get that when you get in these debates, Chris. I mean, I don't know. I personally, I respect President Trump for doing this tonight. I don't know if he gains anything by it other than just letting Joe Biden look bad. And Joe Biden's not helping himself tonight. I can tell you, I'm not seeing anything out of Joe Biden, as you said, that would gender somebody wanting to run to the polls and vote for him tonight. Do you?
I just think seeing the two in the same room and how they act and react to questions and to each other is a big positive in Trump's favor. Anybody who's watching this can just see there's one competent man on stage. And that's the bottom line. And they've tried to. It's ridiculous what they've tried to do to rig this debate to give Joe an arm up, but it still hasn't worked. It's worked in Trump's favor. All of this has.
Yeah. Do you think he's on something tonight?
Joe, our country is being destroyed.
I don't know. He's obviously, and I try to be a Christian man. He's just senile. That's the bottom line. He's senile.
Yeah.
And, it's just.
What was the worst question in what you've seen tonight? What was the worst moment for CNN? I felt the J6 stuff was a little blow. I knew it was going to come up, but I knew that I've been surprised actually they did not try to bring Trump's personal life into this more. Honestly, because that's CNN. I don't know if they're just trying to save face, but what's your thoughts on that?
They haven't done anything at this point that's made me. They haven't done anything at this point that has made me upset. Like no getcha or gotcha questions that I've heard.
Right.
The only thing really that's kind of that I haven't enjoyed or that I didn't like is the fact that they brought up January 6th and all of this, and trying once again to basically say that he incited this and that type of thing. But they really didn't go down that trail. But it gave Biden the opportunity to say that he did. But no, CNN, it's just been questions, and there you go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Court Aguilar just says that Biden says we have the greatest economy in the world right now. I don't think me and you were talking about this today over lunch, man. A trip to the grocery store is pretty much $100 venture or more, and if you're a family of four, it's a lot more than that, is it not? It's crazy that he would say something like that. That is insanity. It really is.
Well, one of the opening questions was about that. CNN came out and said, groceries that you would have paid $100 for, so many, when he first came into office, were now 120 plus.
That's right.
So they've highlighted the fact that that's the way it is.
Yeah.
one of the best.
Where do you think, who benefits the most from this tonight? Does Biden benefit by breaking even? Does Trump benefit by him, taking on Biden? Or I don't think it moves the needle with most people tonight. These debates may move a few, but overall, do you think this moves the needle with anybody?
I think it does in people who are just trying to decide who they're going to vote for. I mean, and which I can't even imagine that there would be people on a fence. But, just watching and just seeing, I think this is in Trump's favor. I really do. There's no way that this could be in Biden's favor. The way he's acting, I mean, he looks confused. He looks down. It's not good for Biden.
Yeah.
I think this is all in. And I mean, Trump's numbers have gone up big time in the poll during this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I've been surprised. I think Biden called him a 34-count felon. I've been surprised that's not been brought up more, honestly.
Yeah, when he did that, Trump's numbers went through the roof.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the bottom line, he said, he said in the last 2 weeks, we've raised more money than any, administration has ever, campaign has ever raised in that time, and that particular amount of time. So,
the last time I had you on, I asked you this. Maybe I didn't. But I'll ask you tonight. It's a pretty much given that Biden, at least his Department of Justice, is behind this. Do you think that he personally has had a hand in this stuff against Trump?
Biden personally?
Yeah.
No, I don't think Biden personally. I think it's the people who pulls Biden's strings. I don't think Biden makes a decision. I think he's just the face, and it's a sad thing. There's a machine behind him that does all the thinking and all of the string pulling and this sort of thing. And so I don't think Biden. No, I think Biden just does what he's told.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Well, buddy, I appreciate you coming on the phone. I didn't mean to keep. I know you got to get up in the morning, and I won't keep you much longer. But I want to thank you for giving us your 2 cents tonight. And
yeah, man.
Anything you want to add to this as we say goodnight?
Hey, man, Trump 2024.
Trump 2024,
That's all I
buddy.
say, man. We need him back in the office. We really do.
Well, we need to do a Chris and Chris 2028, because it'll be wide open in 28 now. I'm just saying, Alman, the McAlman ticket sounds like a pretty good winner to me.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
I can tell. Good. I know you well enough. Your tongue is in your cheek, and that's okay. Hey, man, have a safe trip, okay? God bless, friend.
All right, man. Take care, man.
Thank you, Chris. Chris Alman, everybody. Put some fire in that house for him tonight. And we are, goodness gracious. Lord have mercy. Let's see if Rolando is up. I've got Rolando Rodriguez. Rolando, talking about a friend on a night's journey, came through here 2 nights ago, and I got to fellowship with him after midnight. I was trying to get him here, and he was on a truck and stopped in, and it was a good time to fellowship with my old buddy, and it was really good to see him. And we've got Lori Mills coming up here at 10:40 tonight, and so forth. And we may get Leslie Millway. Let's see if she was sort of watching the debate. Let me see here. Let's see if she would come on for us. Let me. If you got a question or a comment, folks, please put it in the house. Elaine Willard, your statement is absolutely right on target. He said he was trying to take credit for the economy that Trump left him, and Biden destroyed it. That is exactly right, and so forth. Cleo says, I'm wondering if this is to usher in Kamala, and that is a possibility. That is a possibility. I'm not so sure that ain't true. Kiwi, your comment I thought was pretty good too. She says, Dems know the Democratic machine is running the country. They'll vote for anyone they put up. Yeah, I used to work for a man years ago, Kiwi. He was a Democrat. And it was during the Bush years, and it was during the time that Bush was leaving office and Obama was running. And I asked him, I said, please tell me, because we talked to each other. We had a pretty good relationship. I was an independent contractor for his company. And Rex was the kind of man you could go in there, he didn't care who you were, he would treat you right, and he talked to you, even people he disagreed with. And he knew I was a staunch conservative Republican at the time, and I'm an independent voter now. But I looked at him and I said, "Are you going to seriously tell me that you're going to vote for Barack Obama?" And he said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "I am what you call a yellow dog Democrat." I had never heard that term. This was probably 2008. It may have been, no, I take that back. It was 03, because I was working for him in 03. This was John Kerry. This was during the Bush years. It was Kerry. And I said, "What in the world is a yellow dog Democrat? I've never heard that before." And he looked at me and he said, "We Democrats that are yellow dog Democrats, it means if a yellow dog is running for president and peeing on your lawn and peeing on your shoe, we're going to vote for that yellow dog." That's what he said. And I busted out laughing. And he smoked them old cigars. Rex had them big old cigars. He just sat at his desk. He was just puffing on that cigar and just laughing, smiling. And he said, "That's what I am. So I'm voting for John Kerry." And he said, "I wouldn't vote for Bush in 10 million years." So I learned the term. So Kiwi, what you're talking about tonight is actually quite true, because there are a great deal of people in the Democratic machine that are yellow dog Democrats. I don't care who they got. And I will tell you this, your point is well taken. They're not voting for him tonight. They're voting for the machinery. They're voting for the machinery behind Biden. So it's well stated. Michelle Obama will not be on the ticket, Tony. I can tell you it's not Michelle. If she does run, it would be 28. I can tell you it's not about Michelle. Jeannie says, one thing about the Dems, as evil as they are, they stick together no matter what. Republicans, not so much. Jeannie, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is what drives me insane and to drink. That's a great point. It's a great point. Our numbers will start picking up. We got over 200 people in X tonight. My goodness. You X folks make me feel warm. We got more people in X than we do YouTube and Facebook combined tonight. Goodness. Thank you for being with us tonight. Be sure to like the McFiles War Room Twitter handle. The McFiles 45, I think is what we got it as, listed as. It used to be Twitter. Glad to have you in the house tonight. May get more than that when this debate's over in about 9 minutes. Jeannie, your question, your statement about the Republicans not sticking together, that's why we're going to lose this election if we lose it. Even this week, I've heard people that say they're Christian, people that say they're conservative, people that acknowledge that the country is in a teetotal, piss-poor shape. They will never vote for that man on the left because they don't like him personally. They don't like his conduct. And I saw the comment in there tonight about, well, he's not talking and using his head. Well, the thing about Trump, though, is that, and I'm not taking issue with the statement of the person saying it. I'm just saying that's what makes Trump Trump, though. And I do agree that he's much more reserved tonight. And he's, I think, using wisdom and not being a hothead about it. And I totally agree in principle with what the person said. But even him doing that, what's going to happen is this. And this is the crazy thing about it. And I'll just use Rebecca's statement and contrast it with yours, Jenny, and sort of merge the two. Half his base wants him to be that firebrand. There'll be people tomorrow that will go out on their Twitter feeds and swear up and down that Biden and him were colluding tonight. I'm telling you, Jason Miller and I were talking about this today, and there's going to be talk before this day's out tomorrow, mark my word, that, and we'll maybe talk about it on the news show tomorrow night. We got Magdalene Rose coming on for a few minutes tomorrow night, so please be with us. My goddaughter's going to do a great job. She's fired up. She couldn't come tonight. But ain't it ironic that the people that thought Trump was the hothead back in 2020, but his other part of the base, the other half of his base, they're going to say he wasn't hot-headed enough. He can't win. The Democrats don't care that their candidate looks like that every day of his life. They don't care. Jenny, your point is square on. And Rebecca, your point was right. I'm not disagreeing with your point, dear. Look, it is important that he be calm and collected, but this is the thing. He still can't win in the public opinion of many. And I understand that totally, because it's the same with any kind of public figure, folks. It's just life. I mean, we get on this show every night, and people will nitpick every freaking word that we say on this network. 50% of the people love it, 50% of it hate it, and everybody wants to analyze, and people will analyze the you-know-what out of this tonight, and there will be people on the right that he did not say this, or he said that, or he said this, or he turned his head wrong, or he smirked here, and I knew Trump was a bad guy. And I can almost hear the Illuminati talk coming out tomorrow, that this was a conspiracy and all this crap, and that's what it is. And they'll sit their carcasses home in November and not vote. Mark my word. Mark my word. Mark my word. Mark my word. And Jenny, that's why the Dems win elections. Now, they've not been winning lately, and I hope people are catching on to the gag and catching on to the gig, but your point is well taken, and I pray we don't base that bait. Corey says, I'm surprised Trump didn't bring up the military draft. Corey, I'm sure it will be brought up at some point. Carolyn, you're right. Both did not answer some questions. I'm with you totally on that. I totally believe that. Michelle Dana says Dems call each other friends. Very true. Michelle Dana says Trump derangement syndrome affected them in the brain like rabies, and it is epidemic between the parties. You know, it truly is, Michelle, but you know, I understand the left having it, but I can't understand the people on the right having it. I still, to this day, have we not grown up? I mean, are we this childish in America that we are so... You know, right now, the two greatest sins that the church is screaming about is tattoos and cussing. I mean, Franklin Graham sent an email to Trump here yesterday, day before, and told him to clean his language up. As if killing babies is, on a scale of 1 to 10, about a 35,000. Trump's language to me is about a 1.5, if that. I don't care how he talks. He's not my pastor. I'm not hiring him to lead us into church. He's running the country. And there ain't been a president from George Washington all the way to Trump that probably ain't said a few vernaculars that some of us out here, the faith, we might not like. But would you rather have a president that just sort of lets it all hang out sometimes, but fights for the country, and fights for the life of the babies, fights for borders that are closed, and basically will put a stop to this freaking bloodletting? Folks, we have somebody else get killed today. I look at Breitbart. There are at least 3 to 4 stories a day right now of an illegal alien killing somebody, raping somebody, murdering somebody, kidnapping somebody. But we're so concerned about language. We're so concerned Trump's going to use the S word or the F word or whatever. And I'm not condoning, folks, that those things are good. That's just Trump. But if we're going to make that an issue, why don't we make the baby kill the same people? Franklin, I've not seen Franklin Graham come out one time and condemn Joe Biden for the baby killing and the baby bloodletting of this country. I've not seen much condemnation of Joe Biden, but he picks on Trump's language. That's the stupidity of the right. And that's just the zombie land that we're living in. So it is Trump derangement syndrome, Michelle, but the problem is it's on both sides. I'm not saying Franklin Graham hates Trump. I'm sure Franklin will vote for him, but, this just ain't the time to be worrying about whether Trump... I'm going to be honest with you. If I was on that stage tonight, I might be using a few vernaculars myself to let this man on the right know how he's destroyed this country. I want to say that again. Maybe we need to use a few vernaculars before this country is gone. Imbeciles. But that's the state we're in. All right. Least important. Carolyn, your thing about them answering questions, it's the questions, you're right. There's a few of them that they didn't answer. I wish Trump would have answered the question on the Palestinian state. I think it's going to be an interesting thing how he answers that. I'm just curious. Let me interact. We got about one more minute, and I'm sure the audience is going to explode here on Facebook and YouTube tonight. We've got Lori Mills coming up here in 10 minutes. What do you all think of CNN's job in the debate? Give me a 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. Put that in the house for me. Are you y'all a little quiet out there tonight? I know you're still watching the debate, and that's all right. That's why I came on when I did. 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10. I wish that President Trump had brought up President Biden's sniffing young children's hair when he pulled up the 34 felon thing. You know, Lane, I was thinking about that today. Because there's a lot of people that are making a big deal, and they say, why are you voting for a felon? And if somebody ever asks me that, I'm going to look at them and say, well, sure is a heck of a lot better than voting for a child-sniffing pedophile. Just saying. Just saying. I'm in a little mood tonight, folks, so just overlook the McDonald man. Just overlook me. It's all right. I'm just in a little mood tonight. I'm in a 1776 mood. Good point, Elaine. Good point. Good point. Anna gives CNN a 7. Okay. Carol Smith a 7. Mostly 7s, 6s, 8s. Carolyn says pretty fair. Okay. I'm going to tend to agree. Anybody else? Anybody else? 1 to 10. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. CNN's rolling this tonight. Did y'all like the fact there was no audience? I was not a fan of that at first, but I have to tell you, as I watched it, I think it helped Trump more than Biden, because I think that not having an audience, they were able to talk to us and talk to each other without interference of the applause and the boos and all that. Your opinion about that? Did y'all like the fact there was no audience tonight? Put that in the chat room and we'll read your comments. Peggy, pretty fair. I need a number, 1 to 10. 1 to 10. Charlene Lovely, 6. Michelle Dana, traitor for not managing the border. Sundance Kid said, I thought it would be one-sided for Biden. I'm shocked. Sundance, I have to tell you, I am a little shocked myself, too. I'm actually shocked myself, too. I thought this was going to be a lot worse tonight, and I think that Trump deserves a lot of credit for going in, because, again, it shows you that's why Chris ain't running his campaign. I think it helped him tonight more than Biden. I do. I think that this helped Trump a lot because he's in a hostile territory. And look, you got to go, because this is the thing. Fox was streamlining it. There's a lot of people on YouTube that were streamlining it. But CNN's liberal audience got a good view tonight of their candidate. And anyway, I tend to agree. Anybody else? All right. Carolyn, you're 10. I wouldn't agree it's 10. Peggy Cornish, a 5. But 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. CNN's roll tonight. Sundance says Biden looks like a corpse. Reputation's on the line. ZELLE, he showed some patience tonight. He did. I think he did himself well. And folks, please understand, and I'm just in a mood. I'm just in one of these Thursday night moods, so please don't take my demeanor as being condescending to anybody. I love you all. We're in this together. I've watched these debates before, and I guess I'm a little jaded by them. Anyway, I tend to agree with what y'all are saying. We're going to be here for a while. We got another 30 minutes. In fact, I got Lori Mills coming on the phone here in just about 8 minutes. And that we may have some other folks tonight coming on. 8. There we go, Carolyn. I'll agree with that. About a 7. 6 to 7, somewhere in that ballpark. 6 to 7. Let's see here. Rick gives him a 4. Rick gives him a 4. Corey Aguilar says he kept his cool with minimal insults. Anna says the audience was a good idea. I tend to agree. Elaine's giving him a 2. So we're pretty much the low number of 2 up to about an 8. So we add that together, that averages out to be a 5. Jen says, I'm happy to see you on here. Feel like I've been ranting by myself. Jen, good to see you tonight. It's been a while. Good to see you, friend. Peggy Cornish, Trump is doing well, speaks clearly. Biden is mumbling, loses his train of thought. Yep. I think that was their worst nightmare. Look, I have to tell you, I was expecting it to be worse. I mean, he sort of survived 90 minutes. There was a lot of people who weren't sure he was going to be able to handle 90 minutes of this, folks. So maybe he breaks even tonight. I don't know. I guess it'll be interesting, these instant polls afterwards, who won the debate. The liberal media will say Biden won it. The conservative media will say Trump won it. The ultimate people that matter are the voters. And that's where we cast our vote as to who won this debate come November. I want to caution you not to listen to these polls tonight. Don't listen to them. Don't pay them any attention. I don't care if it comes out that Trump's winning 90 to 10. We need to act like he's losing 90 to 10. And vote just like that. Vote just like that. Vote just like that. How did y'all like the no audience thing? I'm just curious, how many of you like the no audience thing? Susan Prusky says no audience is much better, in my opinion. I thought it was actually a good idea, Susan. I wasn't happy with it at the first, but I thought ultimately that maybe this turned out to be good. Maybe this was what we needed to have been doing all along, because they had to talk to each other tonight. And this is the thing about no audience. They're not pandering to their base, because I'm sure Biden would have had his base, Trump would have had his base, and it would have probably turned into a circus. So Biden did Trump a favor. I didn't think he, and again, folks, hindsight's 20/20. At the time that I heard about this debate and saw all these rules, I thought Trump shouldn't do it. But as Chris has always done before, Chris was wrong. And I'll admit that I was wrong about it. I think it turned out actually better that he was in this forum, and I personally glad they didn't have an audience. From what I listened to about 30 minutes of it, 40 minutes here. And then the J6 stuff started, and I just said I've had enough because I knew where that was going. But they were talking to each other, actually. And Trump was addressing Joe's record, as he should be. CNN did help. CNN helps Biden out, Elaine. I agree. Corey don't like it. Corey says, I don't like the no audience. And so forth. Let's see here. No audience was a good idea. Didn't like it at first. I didn't either, Peggy. Jen says he doesn't have to say a thing but smirk. We know puppet on the strings is lying through his mumbling. Keep your eyes on Jesus. May need to turn for blood pressure purposes. That's true. Well, it's over. It's 10:38. They should be done by now. It's supposed to last 90 minutes, so they should be getting to the end of it here soon. We're going to have Lori Mills on here in just a few minutes, and we're going to have 40 minutes here. Biden says, by the way, the Border Patrol, thank you, Kathy Long. She says, by the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation, the union says, to be clear, we never have and never will endorse Biden. Biden is asked if he supports any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy. He said, I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. First time is between a woman and a doctor. Second time is between a doctor in an extreme situation. A third time is between the woman and the state. Now, how about that one? Now, we're going to put this up tomorrow night on the news network, but I got a lot to say about that crap. But and Jen, your point about him lying, he just got caught in a lie, claiming the border union endorsed him. They come out during the debate and said, we ain't endorsed jack crap. And here we go. This is Lori right here. Let's see here. Let me see if Lori can take a call. Here we go. All righty. This is Lori Mills. She's going to come on the phone. Calling Lori Mills, our friend. She was with us here a few weeks ago. Let's see if she'll answer the phone. Miss Lori!
Hello.
How are you, friend? We're grateful to have you. We'll get you back on the video in a few weeks when we have you back after the floor.
Yeah, I was setting up to do it remotely from the room. So I don't know if you could hear the crowd.
Oh, you're fine. You sound perfectly fine, and I didn't want to keep you long. I know you're at that party tonight, and I just wanted your intake about the debate. I cherish your opinion. What's your thoughts about all this tonight?
Okay. All right, real quick. Let's see. Hey, can they all say hi to a podcaster in North Carolina?
It's Tennessee.
His name is that. It's Chris. Okay.
The McFiles in Tennessee. We're in Tennessee, Lori.
Yep. Okay. McFiles in Tennessee.
All right, this is McFiles in Tennessee.
Yep.
All right, what do you want us to say? Chunk?
Yeah, give us some noise.
All right, get some noise for Tennessee podcast.
We tip the cowboy hat to that noise. Way to go. New McFile audiences. All right.
Yeah, so we had a packed house tonight. I think that Trump did fantastic. However, I have to be critical. The only thing I wish he wouldn't have done was pivot a little bit. There were a couple times I think he could have really nailed Biden on the border.
Yes.
And the fentanyl, and he pivoted elsewhere, and he didn't need to do that. But other than that, I think he killed it. I think Biden looked fragile and shaken, and he wasn't well-spoken. And the fact that he repeated the very good people on both sides hoax was laughable.
I know.
Yeah.
Do you think that CNN was a fair broker tonight? I was actually shocked, or actually I was expecting worse.
I think there were too many eyes on them for them to do otherwise. There was so much pressure for them to be fair. So they were fair, which was really, it was good, and we need that.
What was the questions? Because both of them didn't answer questions. You mentioned the border. Is that your main concern, that Trump didn't deal with the border enough tonight? And what was the other?
No. Trump dealt with the border great.
Yeah.
The bottom line is Biden has opened the floodgates, and we have American citizens being murdered in our country. And I do wish that Trump would have said their names. Lake and Riley.
Absolutely.
I mean, he could have just spouted off their names. But, who am I? I didn't have millions of eyes on me, and sometimes it's easier to think on your feet when you're not the one under pressure.
Did you think that they sort of told him to be calm and let Biden sort of let him take Biden by the hand and lead him off the cliff tonight? Because I think he was just subdued. And, I was talking about it before you came on. Trump's base is going to be upset with him because he wasn't, the firebrand tonight. And the last time people were criticizing him for being too much of a firebrand. He can't win. I just think it was tonight with this format. I felt like it was the best thing for him to do. I mean, the way he handled himself tonight.
I thought he did really well. There were just my only complaint was a couple times he was asked questions where he could have nailed Biden and nailed the facts, and he chose to pivot. One of those being the fentanyl crisis, because I do think the fentanyl crisis has been caused by our open border. And also what he funded the black colleges, and Biden came back and said, I gave $100,000 to the black colleges. Trump funded them for 10 years.
I know.
You know what I mean? He didn't need to. Trump had already funded them. And so that was very interesting. But the economy, I mean, anybody that thinks that the economy is better now than it was 4 years ago, I got a bridge to sell you in Alaska.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, buddy. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Hey, what was the most comical? What was the most comical thing you heard tonight out of the debate?
Oh gosh, that's a toughie. You know what? I really liked that he called him out, and again, I think a lot of it wasn't as much the funny thing that we had on Trump, but he wasn't his typical comedic self.
Right.
But what he did do was, for instance, he brought up the fact that the DOJ has been weaponized against Donald, against him and against Americans and against our country. Okay, hey, everybody say hi. McFiles in Tennessee checking on the debate. So anyways, yeah, that went, there were things. I thought he was sharp. I thought that he did really, really well. And in a forum where, he doesn't have the crowd to cheer him on, he was Trump.
Did you like the no crowd thing tonight? I've had my audience has been mixed on it, but most have said they enjoyed the fact that there was not a lot of riffraff with the audience tonight. Did you like that, or would you rather had a live audience?
You know what? I would like to have the live audience just like we had here tonight at the watch party. It's fun to listen to people's reactions. So when somebody's lying, people are like, oh.
Right.
That's good to see. However, I did kind of like them not being able to talk over each other.
I have to tell you, I at first I hated this idea, but as I watched the portion I did, I really felt, because we came on early tonight. We came on while it was going on to get sort of warmed up, get them warmed up for Lori Mills.
Thank you.
But the thing is that I think that ultimately that proved to be better for Trump because he stayed on message and did not. His facial expressions were priceless. And Joe Biden was looking off into the distance with that glare, this glazed eye look like he's been having for 4 years now.
Yeah, he was losing it a couple times, we noticed. And I was praying. I'm like, Lord, expose him.
Yeah,
expose him.
Do you think when the smoke clears, Lori, do you think who walks out? I know us on the right are going to think that Trump wins, but what does he gain from this tonight in most? Does the independents, does this swing more independents to him tonight? Does it swing some of those borderline Democrats, borderline Republicans? Does it even change the needle on the never Trumpers? Does it change them?
Well, see, this is the thing. I think that if you're a never Trumper, you're a never Trumper. There's a spiritual delusion across half of this country caused by our CIA, FBI, and some demons. And unless that delusion is broken, and the only way that that's broken is everybody in your audience speaking the truth boldly and proudly. And the people that support Trump aren't going to go, oh my gosh, I want Biden now. There's no way. Now, the independents and everybody in the middle, we need to pray that they do their due diligence, that they look up these things, that they don't just depend on CNN or MSNBC to tell them what to think. But as far as it really moving the needle, I don't see it moving the needle much tonight.
I don't either. Now, this next debate with ABC, do you think ABC will be as fair as CNN, or do you think it's going to be any different?
I think the mainstream media is all bought and paid for by Pfizer and all those other corporations, and I don't know that they can ever be fair. I think that when they have the pressure to be fair, and thank goodness we all have the receipts now, that we can all look back and say, oh, you lied about this, you lied about this. I mean, I think that might be one of the reasons that Jake Tapper and them couldn't lie tonight. That's and true. Couldn't be the way they were, because everybody was playing the videos of Jake Tapper calling Trump a Nazi.
Right.
And all those tapes were, and so the world was watching going, you've been lying about him for years. Are you going to do it again tonight? Because if you do, we're just going to call you out.
Yeah, I read an article 2 days ago. We mentioned it Tuesday night. They had 396,000 viewers one night last week total. I mean, grand total.
Wow.
or that's not even a 500,000 people. We got 350 million people in America, and they had 396,000 watching them. I mean, that's McFile audience title over 5 years. I mean, but that's pretty pitiful for CNN. I mean, come on. Come on.
Yep. Well, let me get with you a little later.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back and
enjoy your party. Listen, thank you for coming on tonight, and I will get you on next week after next. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
God bless. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Lori Mills, everybody, put some fire in that house. We're grateful for her, and she's at a watch party, and she really at first told me she couldn't come on tonight, and I said, please, 15 minutes, and I took my 15 minutes. So she did good. Did you enjoy her insight? She was with us last week, and I appreciate that. Let's see here. Let's see about some of these comments. Carol Smith, let's see. Michelle Dana, exactly. All voters need to focus on the issues, not personalities. Very good point there. Watching ABC, they suck, Carolyn. I'll agree with that. Trump did a great job. Jody, good to see you tonight, buddy. Becky Blevins, Trump was able to think on what he was going to say. I agree with that. And Rebecca Blevins said the same thing as well. Earlier, Tammy Atkins says, I like no audience. Janice says, Trump kept his cool and handled a touchy situation. Agreed with that, Janice. I agree with that. Misha says, I think they might switch Biden with someone like Gavin Newsom. I'm not sure about that. But I think that he didn't help his cause tonight. Hey, I got a special surprise guest coming about to pop in here. He just said he could come on, and let's see if he's going to answer the phone. These live phone calls on air are risky, so I hope he answers. He said he would. Let's see what he'll do. Hang on, let's see if he does this. I know he's at the beach still tonight. There he is.
Hello.
James Akers, how are you, brother?
I am doing fine. How are you, sir?
We're good, buddy. You're live now. You gotta behave yourself because you're live. How are you, buddy?
I am doing well.
Now, you see, I would never, ever, ever dial cold turkey to Brad Johnson because I'd be afraid of what would come on that phone if I woke him up at this hour of the night. He would say, I can see who is this, you know. But anyway, it's good to see you, buddy. What did you think about the debate tonight?
Do you want to know the truth?
Yes.
I thought it was pathetic.
Okay.
I thought it was pathetic from both sides. My sister sent a note that captures my feeling exactly. This is the best our country has to offer for the office of president, and that's sort of my feeling. Biden sort of stumbled and bumbled through. You couldn't hear his voice. The White House is already making excuses that he had a cold.
Yeah,
it just came across the wires. And Donald Trump, I don't know who's advising him, but Chris, he never answered a question.
It was noticeable, and especially when he whizzed on the Palestinian state question, that bothered me because I wanted to hear what I think he had a chance, James, to give some clarity as to where America would stand if he's elected with Israel and the Palestinians, because that's a big issue to me. That's a voting issue, as is abortion.
Yeah. Now I think he scored some points on the southern border.
Yes.
You know, he came back to that repeatedly, and Biden tried to turn him all of the election challenges into Trump being a whiner. He said that repeatedly. So you knew in their prep sessions sort of where they were gonna focus on things. But bless his heart, Trump had a chance to deliver a knockout blow because Biden didn't look good at all, and he never answered a question.
Do you think that was on purpose tonight? Do you think that he was being advised to just calm down and not say no? I'm sort of with you. I mean, the little snip. I have to. In all full transparency, And I saw a few comments. One lady said, I did myself a favor tonight and not watch this crap. I guess I probably spooked myself because I figured it was going to be a bloodbath with CNN tonight. I really did. I thought Trump was they wasn't going to really do nothing about the issues. And I watched about 30 minutes of it. I forced myself to do it from probably around 9. Let's see, I came on at 9:30, and I had the YouTube going 9:45. So I had the YouTube going about 30 minutes in the background, and I was watching the caption and listening. But I saw the same thing you did. But James, I don't know. There was something in Trump's demeanor tonight, and I know he can't win because last time people got upset with him because he was too bombastic. Tonight he was a little bit more calmer, and I guess ultimately that's just Trump. But I hope that he understands. I think your point is well taken that he could have said a lot more tonight in this debate. He had a chance.
Yeah, he could have scored a lot more points, in my view, than he did. I don't know. I'm absolutely sure that his advisor said, now listen, one of the things that cost you that last election was that you made people feel sorry for Biden because you were constantly attacking him and this, that, and the other. So he was restrained. He was very un-Trump-like in several ways. And my sisters asked me what I thought, and it's the same what I opened with you, Chris. It's pathetic. I am, I get so frustrated at a system that produces these types of choices, which really are not choices for the American people. It's like, why in the last 3 elections are we as believers forced to choose between the lesser of 2 evils?
Yeah. I see. I'm looking at Breitbart right now because I was actually intrigued tonight because it was sort of hints that he might name his vice president. I've not seen anything like that. Now, Breitbart is good, this right-wing website, and they're going to, basically push Trump. But I see the line now from the White House that's coming out that he had a cold tonight. And, hey, what did you think about the comment of Joe Biden? Let me ask you this question. I get what you're saying about the 2 candidates. I'm with you on that. But of all the things you heard tonight, what was the funniest? And I'm not talking about ha-ha funny. I'm talking about the most funniest in the sense of being sick comment from Joe Biden's mouth tonight that you heard him claim tonight. Because he lied a lot. I mean, the border union, James was out there tonight saying that when he said that they had endorsed him, that was just a complete lie. They said, we've never endorsed Joe Biden.
Yeah, I mean, there were several things that just struck me that Trump used some debating skills. You can absolutely nail this guy on several of the things that he said, and it just really didn't happen. And maybe it was because I sort of wanted it to happen that way. I wanted, and to tell you the truth, I thought that from the beginning it would be completely stacked against Trump, the CNN questions and this, that, and the other. I really didn't get that sense. They gave him opportunities to speak to issues, and he just didn't take it and run with it. And they did allow Biden several times to make postscript comments, and didn't offer Trump the same opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Trump always had to use a part of his question time to answer what Biden had just said. So I just thought it was a poor display on both parts.
Yeah,
and I'm sure both If you would listen to the commentary from the left tonight, it would be Biden wins. If you would listen to the commentary from the right, it would be that Trump wins. And in my view, nobody wins. Trump had a chance to answer the charges that from day one in the White House he would be seeking scalps.
Yeah,
I'm not sure he did that. Biden had a chance to come out to the American people and talk about how at his age he would be a vibrant, powerful president. He didn't do that. He slurred and stumbled and, just got himself caught up in statistics and this, that, and the other. So, in my view, he didn't look especially presidential. But to be real honest about it, neither did Trump, and that's a shame.
Yeah,
that is an absolute shame.
And I'm with you. And I think that, again, it's early. I know there's going to be another one. And I think both will learn from this debate tonight. Trump will learn, because I do have faith in President Trump. I will say this, James, look, I think that these debates never really moved the needle on much. If history tells us anything, I put it like this: you can lose an election over a debate, but you can't win an election through a debate. I mean, if either candidate would have went out there and said something really crazy, stupid tonight, which neither one did. I mean, it was just the same mundane political talk between the two. I think you would have an argument that one of them could lose it. I don't think it moved the needle, and I've had two guests on before you tonight, and neither one believes that it's really moved it. I don't think it's moved the needle either way. I think if people had wanted to vote for Biden, they're going to vote for Biden, and for Trump the same way. And I don't think anything happened tonight that's going to change public opinion on either one.
I agree with you absolutely, Chris. It didn't move the needle. The hardcore left and right wings are going to remain entrenched. There's no conversation in the middle, which is, I'd sort of like to see some dialogue take place in the middle, and instead of shouting at each other, people start actually talking to each other to solve some of these problems. There was an excellent article by Ray Dalio, and he's sort of a financier that's made good, that makes geostrategic projections and this, that, and the other.
Yeah,
and he has sort of a scheme of 6 or 7 stages that cultures move through, that empires move through. And right now he says that we are on the precipice of a civil war, and a lot of it is because neither side will talk to each other, and they're hardened into these positions, and there is so much at stake to lose that you cannot give any ground on any issue. And I think he's absolutely right. That's exactly where we're at. And I tell you, the United States is strong. I think Trump was trying to make the point that the country is failing in several respects, which it is. But he needed to reinforce the point that this is still the greatest country on earth, and he didn't do it. And, I think Biden won a few points there. But, Chris, it's just indicative of a fallen nation. The notion of Jesus Christ or integrity in politics or any place else, none of that came up tonight. It was all about January 6th and trials and, my record with full employment. I don't know where these guys are coming from. Every place I go to is having a shortage of people because people earn more sitting on their butts at home not doing anything than working the job.
Totally with you, buddy. That is, you square on, my friend. You square on. Well, listen, it's late. It's 11 o'clock. I want to thank you for your insight tonight. And I tend to, I think that your first statement tonight is what I actually brought up a month ago or two, in a different way. But we're on the same page about this, that, we've got 350 million people in this country, James. And me and you've talked about this. Actually, I think me and you've talked about this before, that we wound up with a rematch of 2020 in the presidential race. And I know that there are qualified people out there in this country that would make good presidents if they would run. And it makes you wonder what has happened to our political system. And it's just a sign, as you said, I think you just hit it. It's the fallen nation. I think it's where we have fallen from. And one of the curses on Israel in the Old Covenant, when they were away from God, they had no leadership. Their leadership was gone, and they became the tail, not the head. They became a debtor nation instead of a lender nation. I was reading the other day, the stranger among them, the Bible says in Deuteronomy 28, the stranger will rise up and rule over thee. And James, these illegals are ruling over us right now. There's not a day that goes by, my friend, that we don't have somebody being killed, murdered, raped, basically assaulted by an illegal. And again, people want to use this compassion argument. Well, what about the compassion of these murder victims? What about the compassion for these rape victims? Right. Where's the compassion for the victims of DUIs and the mothers and daddies with their daughters? This Lincoln Riley and all of these kids. This sad story, sick story out of Houston. This 12-year-old girl who was lured under a bridge, raped numerous times, clothes taken, and they strangled her to death. And then in Kentucky, just north of me, here in the good old-fashioned Bible Belt of the country, 4 of these illegals busted into a home in Kentucky here just last week and kidnapped a 5-year-old. And the parents are very, very fortunate. They got the kid back, and they arrested these 4 clowns. And James, this ain't a laughing matter, man. This is serious stuff. We're being targeted. We've had an invasion, my friend, and the enemy that has invaded us is now killing us. And that's just the facts. That's just the facts.
Yeah. And Chris, tonight, neither candidate addressed the issue really of lawlessness.
Thank you. They did not.
Fatherlessness. They wanted to talk about the opioids, and that is a crisis that should be addressed. But there's a larger crisis, and it's a crisis of personal decency and integrity, and we have become a society that worships death, that lawlessness prevails, that fatherlessness is killing the minority communities. And when will candidates start to address those types of issues? And that's what I want to know.
I'm with you, buddy. Hey, man, I'm going to have you back on next week. We'll do this again, 4th of July week sometime, and I appreciate you jumping in late. And are you back home from your trip?
Yeah, we're back home, settled in here with Imogene, and we're just sort of trying to get used to the home place here. I'm trying to put a few plants in the yard. Just waiting for you to come through.
I'm going to come through next week, and I'll get with you personally, and we will see you next week. And that'll be your 4th of July present. So that'll be good.
That sounds good. That would be a blessed present for us.
God bless you, buddy. Thank you, James Akers. Have a good night, my friend.
God bless you.
Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your insight. Good night.
Bye.
James Akers, everybody. What a good guy. What a good guy. What a good guy. And look at here. We got some. It's amazing what will happen if you ask. Just just if you ask. And we got another guest coming up right behind this. If for those of you that can stick with us tonight, let's see here. Let's see if our next caller will answer the phone. I told you we just call people. And let's see. Let's see here.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail.
I'll call that number back. Let's see here. I got another one. Let's see if
my friend.
Orlando, you're on live tonight, brother. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm back home.
Yeah. Well, we're grateful to have you on the McFiles tonight, man. I thought I would call you Orlando Rodriguez, everybody. Put some fire in that house for James and him together. Buddy, it's good to see you. I know you've been watching this debate tonight, and they had a little bit of the border. You're right down there, and I want to tell you, first of all, it was so good seeing you, man. I mean, the late night visit was great, and I appreciate you coming through and saying hello to me in person. I've missed you. You're my brother. And I really appreciate what you're doing in the fight down there in South Texas, in the Rio Grande Valley, Orlando. But what did you hear tonight? Did you hear anything promising from President Trump? What was your thoughts on the debate?
Well, to be honest with you, my friend, yeah, I mean, Biden was crashed against the wall.
Right.
I mean, what else could we expect, But, the greatest president in our history is Donald J. Trump, and he's very outspoken, and he just, I mean, when he wants to deliver something, he does it. He just says in a simple way, but the truth. And I mean, Joe Biden was crushed against the wall every time. This is what I say, Christopher. To friends and to my family and to people that I speak with almost daily, when they call me from newspapers or news channels, whatever, that every time that Joe Biden opens his mouth, he lies.
That's the truth, brother. Man, well, I was looking at Breitbart just 5 minutes ago. There are 7 fact checks already, and I'm sure there'll be more before the night's out. But that's just in the first 15 minutes after the debate, Orlando. They've got him in lies, bold-faced lies. The biggest one, when he said the Border Patrol endorsed him, the Border Patrol Union. That's laughable. And then he says the economy's the greatest it's ever been. He's overseeing the greatest economy in history right now, taking credit for the economy Trump left him, and he destroyed it.
Well, let me tell you one thing, okay? A few months ago, I helped in a cleanup along the river. And part of the Border Patrol, they were there. They cook hot dogs and hamburgers for us and everything. Real nice people. And I will not mention any names because I have to protect them. But they wanted to have my phone number, okay? Why? Because sometimes they want things to come up in the news. The Biden administration doesn't let them put certain information in the news. So they wanted my phone so I could put it, in my own platforms. And I have friends like you all over the nation. And so that I can send what they the truth, what they see at the border, what's happening at the border throughout my, platforms and my friends and all the people I know all along the nation. So the Border Patrol will never, ever, ever endorse Biden. If the Border Patrol ever had a hard time, is under Joe Biden.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Hey, the situation, I was with you in 21. That's a year I'll never forget, trust me. And that I've been wanting to come back down. There's just been a lot of water under the bridge since that year. And how dangerous, buddy, on a scale of 1 to 10 has it gotten? That day I came down there, it wasn't too safe. You remember the gunshots we heard when we were standing there at the Rio Grande River and we heard the gunshots in the distance?
Yes, of course. And they were taking pictures to us and everything.
Taking pictures of us. And I remember you getting behind the tree, and I got behind the tree tree with you because I didn't want my picture taken by the cartel. But how dangerous is it down there where you're at right now?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Christopher. Look, one thing. Like a week and a half ago, at the most, okay? In Mexico, this is in Mexico, the cartels were saying that if they would find any Trump supporter in the Mexican side, they were going to kill that Trump supporter, man or woman, whatever.
That's unreal, man. That's unreal.
So you know what? I have to go to Mexico once in a while. I mean, I try not to go, but sometimes if I need some medication or whatever, you know, any reason, go see my uncle, he's older, whatever. I mean, whatever. I do not take my phone with me. Why? You know why? Because all my phone is Trump, and more Trump. You see, in all my platforms, I mean, you name it, my Facebook, my TikTok, my WhatsApp, my text messages, and other platforms, it's all Trump. You know, we love President Trump down here, and you know what we've have done for him since 2020, or way before 2020, actually. And I don't want to risk myself and my kids. If I cross the border, I do not take the phone with me.
I don't blame you, brother. Hey, man, I want you to come back week after next. We're going to be off for a little next week with the 4th, and I got the procedure. But when I get back in the saddle, I want you to come on for a regular show. And we got a lot to talk about, more than just tonight. But you've been a great. I want to thank you for coming on this late and chatting with us. And I'm so glad you're back home safe, buddy. And I want you to know it was you've been a dear friend for a long time. You're always welcome here in Tennessee. And you know that the Mac man loves you to death like a brother, and I appreciate you much, and I thank you for what you've been doing down there on that border.
God bless you. A big hug for you, my friend. I had a great time staying in your house, at least for one night. And you know what? For the first time in my life, I drive on Highway 40 and then on 26. You know, all that part of the country there. Oh my God, it's just a paradise. Beautiful. Well, so beautiful.
Bring the family.
So you're blessed. Yeah. You live in a beautiful area, and I hope one day I can go back with my family and visit you.
Come on back, buddy. Come on back.
And you're welcome to come to here to the border anytime you want. And I want to encourage every follower of the McFiles, support these men of God. We need more people that stands up for truth and that stands up for the country. And this is the last chance that we have to save America, really. So God bless you, my friend. Thank you for all you do. And we will continue, working and just praying for our country like never before.
We'll see you soon, buddy. I'll be in touch, and I'm looking forward to getting back down there. I'll see you, okay? God bless you.
Thank you. God bless everyone.
Rolando Rodriguez, everybody. Good man right there. And we're not done. Not done. We're not quite done. I know it's late. You ain't got nothing to do anyway. Country's in the toilet. Best thing to do is stay up and listen to me for a few more minutes. I'm better than these. Leslie Milwee, what's going on?
Oh, my goodness.
You're live right now, by the way. I just want you to know. Well, I got you on live TV. I just told him that it's late, but I'm better than these two clowns, and I'm not just calling Trump a clown. But this clown show from CNN tonight, it's a lot better than what they were putting on, even though I have to give CNN a little bit of credit. They were a little bit more fair than I thought they would be tonight. What's your take on this debate? It's good to see you, by the way. How are you, dear?
Oh, good. Well, I am pleasantly surprised at CNN. I thought the order of their questions wasn't always the best. I knew that Trump would win, that Biden would do poorly, but I didn't think it would be that bad. I mean, it is mind-blowing to me, and it begs the question, was this a setup so they can bypass Harris and get somebody else in there.
Do you think that's going to happen? Because that question is coming up in the chat room tonight, because I've seen it a few times. One name has been mentioned, Gavin Newsom. I saw Michelle Obama's. I don't think Obama's going to do it. But Gavin Newsom, he's a wild card, Leslie. I wouldn't doubt, because, look, it was a strategic thing they did it before the convention. And I think that this was, Joe probably don't even realize it tonight, but he was auditioning for that convention, because I wouldn't put it past these Dems to do something.
I think they will. I think the clues were like David Axelrod and a few other staunch Democrats. Who's the psycho from Louisiana? James Carville.
Yeah.
They basically said, this is do or die. If he doesn't do well, we will be forced to go and get another candidate. I mean, I think they spelled it out clearly. And I think that's what they're going to do.
But can they do that with the primaries? I mean, can they do that with these delegates that's already been dedicated to Joe Biden?
Well, he would have to release the delegates. Now, is he going to do that? I think that would be the question. Are they going to be able to talk him into doing this? I don't know. I honestly don't think he has the cognitive ability to make that decision. I say shame on Jill, too, and all of his family and all of his aides and Obama and everybody that prepped him and made him get up on that stage. What a laughingstock he looked like, and more importantly, our country. So that I think that's very disheartening to think that that's how things are politically, that we're at this point. That's scary. That's scary. Yeah, and we are close to World War III.
Well, we really are. Let me ask you a question. We had James Akers on right before you, Orlando Rodriguez, and one thing that James said, and what he was basically saying is that it is sad, and this is no reflection of President Trump, but I think it's a reflection on our country, Leslie, that the best we can do in this election year, again, is have a rematch of 2020. And if you think about it, both parties, I'm talking about, and I mean, this is the last hurrah for Trump. I believe that if he, God forbid, he loses, I just don't see 28 him trying again. That's my opinion, and I mean, I may be wrong. So this is his last hurrah. So we're going to have a clean slate no matter what happens in November in 28. Right. But you would have thought that with everything going on in the country, that we would have had a different look in 24. And it's almost like this unfinished business from 2016 on. And how healthy is that for our country right now? I tend to agree with James that, he was a little bit more pessimistic about Trump's performance even than he felt like that it's and he said it right, and it's already happening. I'm looking at some of the wires. The right-wing conservative papers are, just applauding Trump. The left wing is basically saying Biden, stood tall to tall and all this stuff. And that's to be expected because that's just our media and that's just how the media is. But on a bigger scale, is this healthy for us as a nation that we keep going on the same treadmill every election cycle? Because it just seems like that's what we do.
Well, it is what we do. It's what we did with the Bushes and what we've done with the Clintons and what we did with the Kennedys. And this is nothing new. This has been repeated in our country over and over. Is it healthy? No. Did I think Trump was just fabulous? No, he didn't, because there's a part of him that had to be contained. And, part of me says, let Trump be Trump. And the other part says you've got to hold it together so that the nation can look and see the contrast. And that's what he needed to do, and that's what he did. As far as other candidates, I have to say you've got to give the people what they want. Did you think Trump would mow down all of those people through the primary? I mean, it wasn't even a contest.
I know.
So, I mean, what that said to me was, people wanted him. They did believe that there were there was election fraud. We know there was some election fraud. Did it cost him the election? I don't know, but he does want to be restored in that, along those lines. I get that. I thought they brought up revenge, I thought Dana Bash, that was the only time kind of irritated me. I felt like she was pushing that, are you going to get revenge? And, and he said it again, success of our country and recovery of our nation is my revenge. And,
right.
I would love to know what that man was on. Now they're saying he had a cold because he screwed up the first 30 seconds he was on. He couldn't talk.
Well, they're claiming he had a cold tonight. That's coming through in the chat too. The White House is already out there doing damage control, and you told me this before the debate started. Now you said you just had no idea how he was going to stand up there for 90 minutes, and he did. I mean, I was sort of expecting more of a meltdown myself. What was you mentioned the question about retaliation. Was there any other moments in the debate, any other questions that really got in? I thought the J6 stuff was juvenile. I knew Tapper was going there the second he opened his mouth, and they can't help themselves. And
no.
But what was I think this that bothered me, but and I will say this, and I'm trying to be fair to a degree here, because I believe there were questions that Trump did not answer. He should have. I thought he should have answered the question on the Palestinian state, and he deflected, went back to Ukraine, and
right.
And I felt like that question needs to be addressed, because Leslie, that issue is not going away, and
no.
That is a serious voting. To me, that's one of my voting things, is how we support Israel and
right.
the abortion issue. And he was sort of ambiguous on that tonight, and I don't know if that was on purpose or he just had more things on his mind. Maybe he'll address this more this week into next. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I noticed the Palestinian thing. I expected, I think, on some level for him to be more pro-Israel. I don't think he came across like that. I think he generalized it like he did a lot of things. I thought if Biden probably riled up his supporters a little bit for the good of the Democrats was on abortion, I thought Trump was very precise in that he didn't believe it, that it should go back to the states. He didn't believe it should be, on a national level. Biden, talk about not answering questions. Biden's like, it's for incest. And it's like, hello, do you understand what we were talking about just now? I'm not sure you do. So, I thought that if he landed anything, I think he probably appealed to a pretty substantial number of those feminists and those women like that, but they were already going to vote for him. I don't think he swayed anybody.
That's my next question, and we'll keep about 5 more minutes. We're going to get you on for a full interview very soon, dear. But do you think this moved the needle tonight at all with any of the constituencies, the independents, Republicans, Democrats? I personally think that tonight was window dressing. It may move a few votes. Corey, I saw a statement by somebody tonight that the border stuff may move a few votes. They may be right, and I guess ultimately we'll know in November. But do you think that this moved the needle any direction, either way, for either candidate?
No, not really. I thought it was pretty vanilla as far as, I think some good questions were answered, but I didn't particularly like the format. I didn't like, I don't know. Basically, Biden just stood there and called Trump a liar every single time Trump talked. So that became annoying to me and very noticeable. But as far as opinions, those people that are pro-abortion and all of that, they're already over there. They're never going to vote for Trump.
That's true.
The border, maybe the border. I thought it was pretty bad that Biden just pretty much hammered on the black population and how much he had done. I thought that was very inappropriate. I really did. And I like the way that Trump, brought in and Hispanics and other populations, because I think he's trying to appeal to the black vote he's losing. if people are going to do it based on their pocketbook and on immigration, they may have to hold their nose, but they're going to vote for Trump.
Well,
I really believe that.
I'm with you. And again, there ain't one out here listening to us tonight. It don't matter what Trump did tonight. We're going to vote for him. I mean, and the people that are going to vote for Biden, they're going to vote for Biden, Leslie. I mean, they just are. I mean,
that's right.
I just don't think that. And again, that's why these debates ultimately are for TV ratings more than anything else. I will say this. I think you can lose an election through a debate. You can't win one. I think that history has told us that candidates have lost elections by their performance. Neither candidate lost the election tonight. I don't think it.
No.
Because look, even Joe Biden's situation, it's not a newsflash that Joe Biden is going downhill mentally. I mean, that's not like news tonight, you know?
No.
So, I mean, what we saw tonight is pretty much what we've known's going on. And
well, it's what you and I know.
Right.
I don't know that anybody that doesn't follow politics very closely, but they're diehard in the wool Democrats, they got a real shock tonight.
Yeah.
But they just won't vote.
They won't vote, but that's a vote for Trump if they don't.
That's right.
I'm just telling you, that's a vote for Trump if they don't vote. But I would say this, and I don't mean this to, I have to fire the troops up every night, and people get upset because they think that, you know, that we on the right are perfect and we on the right are not. And there's a lot of people on the right that don't go vote, Leslie. And this is a moot point if we sit back and we can debate this debate back and forth tonight, going back and forth for 3 more hours, and everybody can have an opinion about it. But if we don't go vote, then none of what Trump said tonight, it wouldn't matter what he said tonight. It ain't going to matter.
That's right.
If we don't vote, because we don't hold elections in June. We don't hold elections in July, August, September, October. We vote November the 5th of 2024. And if we don't go do our job, then none of this stuff really matters ultimately, what we're talking about. That's just
absolutely.
That's how
I agree. Yeah, and you're right. I think it's going to be like 2016 in the fact that I think Trump's going to energize the base more. I think for some reason, and maybe it was COVID, and I don't know exactly. It might have been several things all rolled up into one. But I think there were many things that happened in 2020 where people were not, getting out to vote. There was early voting. There was mostly mail-in. All those things played a huge role. So did you like the way he handled the January J6 stuff?
Fair. Again, that's a no-win issue for him. That's just a no-win. I would have brought Nancy Pelosi into the discussion more, and her role in this. I would have, and there was a lot. That's where again things that he left unsaid may have hurt him more than what he said. I would have let the country know what I did that day to call the National Guard in, and it was basically rebuffed by the congressional leadership led by Nancy Pelosi, and she's admitted that on videos and. That she
and the mayor
and that's my only thing. That's a very tough call for him because look, I was there in D.C. that morning. I wasn't at the Capitol, but I was in D.C. on January the 6th, and it was cold. And I remember that morning when he told the supporters to do it and to go over there and protest peaceably. It's not Trump's fault that you had a bunch of knucklehead dummies that went in there and busted glass out like a bunch of petulant 5th grade children that 5th graders would have known better not to do that. And you had adults doing it. And see, that's what frustrates me with our side. And then we get all bent out of shape when something happens bad and it goes bad. And then I've had people that has blamed Trump for that. Well, Trump didn't tell people to go out there and bust a glass out. He didn't tell people to insurrect. It wasn't an insurrection. It was some knuckleheads that should have just kept their blank sides away from that place. And Leslie, look, I've talked to people, and I've had a lot of opinion about this, and people can have their opinion about it tonight. It's okay. They don't have to agree with this. But we should have known better and more sense to believe that they were going to use this that day. Everything that has happened since then is exactly what the Dems wanted. They wanted an issue to hammer Trump with, and they tried to do it tonight. I think it was a fair response. It's a no-win for him. It's no matter what he says, people have already determined their thinking on J6. But I would have hammered Nancy Pelosi. I would have brought her into this discussion, and I would have let nothing be left wasn't said. Now, he may do this in the next election, the next debate, because I'm sure Stephanopoulos is salivating, because he's already said he's going to bring J6 up. And I would, if I was Trump, I would be getting that video geared. I'd play it on my phone. That's just Chris.
Yeah.
I'd have it up on my phone, and I'd pull my phone out and start playing it where she's in that cab, telling her daughter, "I should have had the National Guard here, and I didn't call him."
Right.
But anyway, that's me. That's the only thing, But
I wish it hadn't happened. I'm sorry that young patriot lost her life. I mean, she was really the casualty of that. Do I think that the people that are still in prison and jail for what they did, do I think that's fair compared to what happens to a Democrat that burned down a city? No, I don't think it's fair. Well, I don't think busting out a window, even though it was the hallowed Capitol, is the same as burning a police station to the ground.
And I will say this, Jason Miller just chimed in and he said that there were Antifa and Black Lives Matter people in Trump shirts, and I'm not going to disagree with that because I know that was part of it. But again, Leslie, it was a bait. All of it was bait. That's my point. It was a bait to get Trump supporters down there. And I just think in hindsight, 2020, and I'm wondering, this would be the question tonight I'd ask President Trump. In hindsight, would you have told people to go down there and do that?
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
I'm sure he wouldn't have. But you have to, I always think of his state of mind at that time, too. I mean, he obviously thought he was cheated out of the election, that there was fraud and, voter fraud, election fraud. He was distraught himself. And I understand that. And people do stupid things when they're in that kind of a state of mind. I get that. And you're right. He very clearly said peacefully and but maybe people didn't interpret it that way. Obviously, some people thought he was giving the call, as everybody on the left says. And maybe I can see where that would be interpreted like that.
And that's why it's a no-win. And that's why I think the way he handled it tonight, I would give him a 7. A solid 7.5 on how he answered the question, honestly. It just wasn't a win-win for anybody. And I, to be honest with you, I thought they were going to spend more time on that than they did.
I did too.
And I will leave you with this. Did you like the no audience thing tonight? I've asked that to every guest I've had. Did you like the format?
I think that's why it fell so flat. I think that's why it wasn't more exciting or... I don't know. It takes it down a level of intent, I think. And I don't especially think that's a good thing when you have a debate. Because one thing is that happens with a live audience is you get instantaneous gratification or failure. And I think we miss that. I mean, we know what's happening. We see it, but yet there's no, everybody's just kind of neutral. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think it's just, it takes the tone down a little bit, and maybe that's what they wanted to do.
And maybe that's why Trump was a little subdued, because, Trump, he feeds off of his base. He feeds off of his group. Look, when he's in these rallies, I'm telling you something, he's Superman. I know. And when he don't have that feedback and that pushback from his base, it's hard for him to get. And I can understand that. And I'm going to have a few final thoughts here. I'm going to let you go. Listen, I'm going to get you on here in a week or so, buddy. It's so good to hear you tonight. Thank you for staying up.
You too.
Take a call and be blessed out there in Oklahoma. Love you. God bless you, friend.
Love you too. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Leslie Millway, everybody, put some fur in that house. Oh. Anyway, and just trying to send Lori Mills a message. She said thanks for having her on tonight. I know the sound was a little loud, but we have to make it loud, because if we don't, then I'll have people complaining that they can't hear it. So again, just when you have a phone interview, it tends to be louder. But you can, y'all can turn your volume down a little bit if you need to. Listen, folks, it's late. It's 11:38. We've been going an hour and 57. I've given you 2 hours of coverage tonight on this Thursday night. We've had Leslie Millway. We've had Orlando Rodriguez. We've had James Akers. We've had Lori Mills. We've had Chris Alman. I don't think of a better group I could have had tonight. James he's got his own show on Thursday nights. I would have got him, but he's doing something tonight with some other folks. But we hope that you've enjoyed it. I've been watching the comments, and I agree with pretty much most of what I'm reading out there. Maybe a slightly different perspective on a few things. But for the most part, so forth. Austin, we've always been around. Good to see you tonight. He says, it's been a long time since I've watched this channel. Glad to see you're still around. I'm glad you are here tonight, Austin. We're still around. We are still around. But anyway, Anyway, just reading a few of these things here. Austin, good to see you tonight. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Glad you're back, buddy. Glad to see you. And I think I'm getting the consensus. I should have asked Leslie this, but I'll just say this. Tomorrow night, we do a new show. We got Magdalene Rose coming on around 9 o'clock, and then we're going to have some headlines. And I'm sure, for some reason, I'm just certain we'll be talking about this again tomorrow night. And I know I've been a little snarky tonight, a little fired up and wired up, and if I hurt any feelings, Chris is sorry. It's the red shirt and the cowboy hat. Man, I got some... I'm just getting cynical for my old age. That's what it is. I'll just blame it. I'll blame it on that Ohio heat that I had this weekend. Oh, Lord have mercy. It's been hot down here in the South. But folks, look, I'm just a common sense kind of guy, and I think all these opinions tonight that we've heard have been spot on, and everybody's entitled to them, and I think there's some consensus in all these opinions, and I've read everything out there that I've read tonight. For the most part, I've agreed with, and I think that we all have a say, and I will say I saw one comment that somebody felt James Akers was wrong, that Trump's not a Superman. I don't think that he was saying that Trump was a Superman. I don't think he was trying to say that. But his point is well taken, folks, that we as a nation, we're in a treadmill. We're just in this. It's just like this treadmill that we're on, and we just keep going around and with the same thing. And Leslie brought a beautiful point up. We did it with the Kennedys. We did it with the Clintons. We did it with the Bushes. Now we're doing it with Trump, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing with Trump. I like Trump. I love Trump. I appreciate what he's doing, and I'm proud of him tonight. I think he did an outstanding job. I know he was a little subdued, and I just think maybe the no audience thing probably had him, in that state, and that's fine. And look, there's another debate coming, and Corey, your question about a live debate, I'm not sure. I think both debates, the Biden camp set the parameters on both of those, so it may be the same format, just different moderators. I do wish that Fox would have gotten one debate. I feel like it's fair that if he goes into two liberal news outlets, Trump, that Biden should have to go to a conservative debate, and that was never agreed to. And I think that sucks. I mean, that's not fair. So we'll see. But I'm sure Trump will have. I know President Trump. Not personally, but I know him well enough to believe that he's going to go and look at this debate tonight, and I'm sure he will listen to a lot of opinions as to what he didn't say tonight that he needs to say next time, and vice versa. And I give him a 10 tonight. I'm going to give him a pass. I think he did great going into a hostile environment, and who knows? Maybe he was like me. He was probably expecting all hell to be thrown at him in the sink from CNN, and they actually they shocked me. I mean, I'm not going to say they were 100% fair because the cameras, the people in the booth with the technical stuff, whenever Biden was having his moments, they cut the camera and shoot to Trump, and you could see it. It was evident they did not want people seeing Biden's glazed stare. But for the most part, they were fair moderators tonight. And some of the comments about that I tend to agree with. I'm sure they're having 396,000 viewers the other night was not a good look for them, and they're saying we've got to get some credibility back. So we'll see if this does that. I don't think it will, but maybe. I could say a lot more, but it's late, and we will pick this up tomorrow. Tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern. We've got our dear goddaughter Magdalene Rose coming on, and she's, I'm sure, got some opinions about this. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what these young people had to say about this tonight. That's why she's on tomorrow night. And I'm so proud of her. I really am. She's like my own daughter. And I could just hug her and squeeze her. She's just such a dear, smart kid. She's a smart kid. And we would do well to listen to her. You ain't got to agree with her. Every time she's on, these adults come in, well, I just don't agree with her. I don't agree with her. Well, she's a teenager, guys. She's a 20-year-old. You're not going to agree with her. She's 20-year-old. We old, crusty, old, sourpuss adults, we're so set in our ways. If somebody comes disagreeing with us, we're ready to call the National Guard in and call Armageddon. Well, of course you're not going to agree with her. She's seeing things from a 20-year-old's perspective. But she's a smart kid. And I may not agree with every jot and tittle she says, but I agree with most of what she says, and I've listened to her. Because I tell you what, that youth vote, they're coming to the polls. And that's who the Biden campaign is targeting right now. They're trying to target these kids with these student loans and all these things that he's doing. He knows if he don't get that youth vote, he's sunk, and he's trying his best. So I'll listen to Magdalene because I want to hear what they got to say about this, and I'm curious what she's got to say. So we'll see what she says tomorrow night, and then we'll do a new show on a Friday night McFiles. And Austin, thank you for being back with us tonight. We're grateful. Welcome back to the fold. And we've been around. We've not gone nowhere. We've been right here. YouTube's been sort of messing with us a little bit over the last few years, but that's okay. We're grateful you're in the house tonight, as will all of you. Did you enjoy the show tonight? Put some fire in that house. And Chris will be on his best behavior tomorrow night. I promise. I promise. I promise. Lori Mills is also... Lori Mills is with us tonight. Chris will be on his best behavior tomorrow night. Chris will be on his best behavior tomorrow night. Don't count on it. Chris will be on his best behavior tomorrow night. Oh, Lord have mercy. I've enjoyed doing what I'm doing. I just do. I just do. I've learned to laugh about a lot of stuff. I've mellowed out a lot. We've had a good night. It's been fun. So, I'll see you tomorrow night, all right? And Chris will be on his best behavior. If you believe that, yeah. But it's going to be a fun Friday night. We're going to do some McFiles funnies tonight. We're going to listen to the mood. We're going to lighten the mood up a little bit. And we will see you then. Serious in the morning. Faith Study, Faith Network. You see our Bible students in the morning for our Faith Network. I'm just giggling about all this tonight. I just keep looking at that picture right there. And look, folks, I'm not making fun of President Biden. It's sad. It's a sad state of affairs we're in this country. That's all I got to say. And but I will tell you this as I go out tonight, folks. None of this matters if we don't vote. None of this matters if we don't vote. And I don't think there should not be anything that has to motivate us to vote. It's a shame people have to be motivated to do their civic duty. It's a shame that people have to be motivated to do a lot of things these days, but they do. It's just human nature. But it's our country. If this is what we want, well, we're going to get it if we don't vote. That's what we're going to get if we don't go vote. And we'll see how it plays out. I love you all tonight. Thank you all for being with me. Thank you all for sticking out with me this late. Thank you for all these guests that have been with us tonight. And sorry if it was a little loud out there with the phone. We'll work on that next time. I'll hold the phone back a little bit. If you like the show, put some fire in that house. Thank you all for being with me tonight. And I'll see you in the morning. And then tomorrow night back here. And may the Lord bless you tonight on a McFiles Thursday night, the round 1 of the 2024 presidential debate. Be blessed out there. Have a good night, everybody.